Reading the tweets, reading the tweets. What do we got? Okay, Olympics. Let's read some Olympics tweets. Let's see some Olympics coverage. See what we're getting. Okay, here's one from NPR. Headline, a Texas native competes for Japan at the Tokyo Olympics. Okay, I guess that's a story. But here's the tweet. Ira Brown had a difficult childhood, and basketball showed him the world. He says Japan is where he felt like he'd found the safety he'd been searching for. At the Olympics, he is redefining what it means to be Japanese. Really? He is? Well, that sounds like a pretty big story. I'm going to have to click this one. I mean, we're talking about a culture here that I'm reading on Wikipedia goes back to 30,000 BC. It's been called Japan since the 8th century. There's 126 million people there. There's thousands of years of beautiful culture and history and language that has led us to the Japan we see today. This guy is changing it. This guy from Texas is changing what it means to be Japanese. This is huge. Tokyo Dateline. They call him Downtown Ira Brown. Do they? Okay, he never dreamed he'd be in the Olympics. Okay, this is his adopted country. Oh, he's playing in the 3-on-3 thing? This story says it's a lot like the pickup games you'd play in your driveway. Yeah, I think most viewers have noticed that. Okay, this guy's from Corsicana, Texas. This guy from Corsicana, Texas is redefining what it means to be Japanese. You know, I'm sure they've got sound reporting and reasoning and thought put into this to say something that big. I mean, that is a huge thing to say. Okay, he grew up poor. His mom was a good athlete. He dreamed of being rich. Tell me if you've ever heard of this story before. Sports was a way out of poverty for him. He's a baseball player. But then basketball really took hold. Okay, he got married. He was naturalized in Japan. He plays for a team called Osaka Ivesa. Anyway, okay, he says it's an honor to be Japanese. There's other mixed-race Japanese Olympians. Okay, he says, I feel like we're breaking barriers, especially with how they treat mixed kids before, especially when I first got over here. Then Naomi Osaka and Rui started having a lot of success, and all of a sudden the narrative started changing. Oh, so he's found that once you become a sports star, people are nicer to you. Okay, that's original. Okay. His team didn't make it past the quarterfinals, so they did not win a gold medal or anything. So success at the Olympics is not part of how he is redefining Japanese, what it means to be Japanese. So that's the whole story. No other Japanese people were interviewed for this piece. This piece that argues that this man from Texas is redefining a 30,000-year-old culture. Is that what they're saying in Tokyo? I mean, you're in Tokyo. It's got a Tokyo Dateline on it. Why don't you walk around Tokyo and ask some Japanese people if this guy from Texas is redefining what it means to be Japanese? Maybe there are some farmers in rural parts of Japan that could comment on the subject and what it means to be Japanese and how this guy from Texas becoming a half-decent player in their B-League is changing all that. Maybe that'd be something to do in journalism before you write stupid like this. Okay, here's another one. This is from David Woods of the Indianapolis Star. Headline, Lily King takes aim at Russians. And his tweet is, "You didn't think Lily King was going to be at an Olympics and not blast Russians for doping, did you?" Well, David, I don't know who the Lily King is in the first place, so I had no expectation about what she would do whatsoever. Goodness gracious. LA Times, U.S. shooting taking lead on countering the sport's negative connotations. Translation, we went over there and badgered these people about our stupid politics, and they halfway played along. LA Times, Raven Saunders shows a face of power and pure joy in capturing Olympic silver. No idea what that means or interest in finding out. LA Times, if you're waiting for Gwen Berry's Olympic podium protest, she has other goals. Translation, we went over there and badgered this poor woman about our stupid politics, and she didn't play along. All right, let's go over to the Gray Lady, the New York Times. All that's fit to print. What's the difference between running the 100 meters, the 800 meters, and running a marathon? We invited 3 elite runners to run on the world's fastest treadmill to find out. Okay, what did you do? You got some people to get on some treadmills to find out the difference between 100 meters, 800 meters, and 26 miles? The Washington Post. The Washington Post. Look good, feel good, run good. The hair and nails at track and field provide plenty of flash. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm glad you sent a reporter over there to tell me about hair and nails in track and field. That is what I want out of a newspaper. Washington Post. Perspective. Centuries of U.S. imperialism made surfing an Olympic sport. I mean, what are these people talking about? What are these people talking about? Where do they come up with this stuff? With an eye toward U.S. power, Americans spread the sport, making its Olympic debut. What? What? Surfers? Surfers did this. With an eye toward U.S. power, Americans spread the sport, making its Olympic debut. This is surfing we're talking about. A bunch of stoners on the beaches in California and Hawaii had their eye on U.S. power. Okay. All right. Sure thing, Washington Post.